Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Mr. Shakespeare here again on the 15th of September 2022. I'm here with psychic medium and remote viewer Liz Cross. How are we doing today, Liz?
Very well. I'm excited for this one.
Are you? Good.
Yeah.
Okay. We've decided to do some cities, American cities. We might expand that actually, see how this goes. But we'll start with the US, and we're going to start with Chicago, which, as we know, is in the state of Illinois, and apparently is the third most populous in the United States, following New York and Los Angeles. Right? Can you grab Chicago, please?
I can, yes.
Okay. How's Chicago doing at the moment?
At the moment, I feel like it's a little down in the dumps. It's feeling a little blue today. Maybe the weather's not good. I don't know.
Okay. So one of the reasons that we want to do this is because we are increasingly seeing reports coming through of violence and murders and all sorts of other bad things happening. And this city seems to come up a lot. I wonder if we can ask Chicago why that might be. Why is Chicago becoming
so violent?
Yeah, why is it so violent? Why
are you so well, there's a lot of different answers here. So one is I was designed that way. I was designed that way on purpose in order to bring a lot of life lessons to a lot of people. Okay, so that's taking off the 3D hat and looking at it that way. There's some very poverty-stricken areas of Chicago. People are very poor. They have no opportunities. They're artificially kept down, is what I'm getting. And then there are lots of answers here. The violence will continue. And I think that's part of the reason we decided to do these probes, because you often see these cities in the news now that, they're losing the battle. And it seems like Chicago is really losing the battle.
Right. Okay, you say that it believes it's going to continue. What, for the immediate future, for a long time? I mean, what's?
How long do you foresee this violence continuing? A good 20 years.
Really?
Yeah, that's not good, is it? I mean, that's pretty bad.
Okay.
Now, bearing in mind what it's telling me is there are pockets. It's not violent across the entire city, but it is very violent in pockets of Chicago. Very poor pockets of Chicago. How did they obtain guns? It's all illegal, right? Because I'm saying, well, if they're so poor, how can they buy a gun, right? Because guns are not, I don't know how much a gun costs, but presumably if you're struggling to eat, you're not going to be able to buy a gun. But I feel like what percentage of the population has firearms in these pockets? So it's only about 20% of the population that is doing, the violence, that has access to these firearms, but they're all bought, from what the city is telling me, they're all bought in the black market.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, legal gun ownership is traceable back to the guy or the girl that owns the gun. So yes, I mean, this is sort of goes with, what a lot of people say. Criminals don't take any notice of the law. So whether if you ban guns in America, which I don't think will ever happen, but even if you did, the criminals won't take any notice of it. They'll still have illegal guns like they do now. this is the problem, isn't it? And if they're buying them on the black market, I'm assuming there's a quote healthy black market unquote of firearms available there.
Right. And, this may upset a lot of people. Some people have this viewpoint that if you do remove all the guns and you ban guns, that will just completely rid of the gun crime. But you and I both know from, you live in the UK. I used to live in the UK. And not only did I used to live in the UK, but I used to work for the London Metropolitan Police, Scotland Yard, right? And I know for a fact that the police don't have guns and the criminals do. And that's a problem. I mean, that is a big problem. Because what are you going to do? And the officers had to be very, very savvy at disarming someone who was pointing a gun at them. In fact, I know officers in particular that worked in very rough areas of London and had multiple guns pointed at them. And there's a little wrist move that you do, and that's your only chance, right? You have to do it because the gun's already pointed at you. What are you going to do? Are you going to stand there and take it, or are you going to try and fight it? And as an officer, they had this little wrist movement that you did in order to take the gun away from the criminal. Now, they may not be quick to fire that gun in the UK as quick as they are here in the US. But I mean, the bottom line is criminals always have guns, just like you say. They just do.
Yeah, they do. They have whatever they need. So
shall we group the 20% and ask them why? What's going on?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to throw out 80% of Chicago, and I'm going to concentrate on this small 20% of gun owners in the pocket areas where there's a lot of crime. Now, what's coming through very strongly to me right now is it's life or death situation where they are. The streets are tough.
Right. But there are, like you said earlier, there's not everywhere in Chicago that's bad. There are some areas that are worse than others. For sure.
But the streets where these people reside, these 20%, these gun owners,
yeah,
it's bad. It's bad. And I'm going to ask this 20%, do you have jobs? No. Okay, so a majority of this 20% are not working. I feel like they're gangsters. Okay, they just told me that. We're gangsters. We run things. We run numbers. We run booze. We run drugs. So there's a big thing here where they're running lots of different things, stolen goods. That's why they have guns, because the other people that they may be doing transactions with could harm them.
Yeah.
Do you commit crime? All the time. So this very small percentage in these pockets of 20%, the 80% want to live peacefully, but for the fact that they're confined in these pocket areas, and this 20%, it's just running away with everything, right? They have this place under lockdown and they're controlling the streets. Do police actually come onto the streets? Yes, they do. And how does that affect all of you? They don't care about the police. They're not scared of the police. The police aren't going to pay me, is exactly what they just said. So I have to pay myself. The police are not going to support me.
Chicago, I believe, was one of the places where there was a defund the police movement going on. Is that correct? Can we ask?
I think there was a start of a defund the police movement. That was really more, where was that? I'm looking on the map now, as in etheric map. I feel like that was more West Coast.
Right. Okay. In 2020, the city put out a thing called Our City, Our Safety, a comprehensive plan to reduce violence in Chicago. If we're asking Chicago, has any or all or some, or what happened to that plan? Is any of it in place?
It's implemented, but it's not working.
Right.
What are some of the guidelines in the plan? Does it specifically state what those guidelines are?
Well, there were 5 basic tenets, if you like. One was to empower and heal people.
No.
The other one was to protect and secure places.
Protection and security. Yeah, but it's only the places where the police are liked, right?
And
it's
the other
not concentrating on these bad areas.
Right. Another one was improve and advance policing.
Improve and advance policing. They do have more officers. And what's going on with that? Are they on patrol in those areas? Yes, they're on patrol in some of those areas, but they're not going to, even though I'm talking to the 20% and they're really tough, right? They're not stupid. They're not going to just commit a crime in front of a police officer. Are those areas policed by cameras? Yes, they are policed by cameras, actually very heavily policed by cameras. And what happens? Is your arrest rate any good? No, the arrest rate is not good. What about the percentage of unsolved crimes? That's pretty high. So there's lots and lots of things coming out here about there's a lot of crime, it's unsolved. And then you have a lot of problems where the victims are too scared to speak out because they have to live in these areas. They're too frightened. They know the repercussions. This 20% owns the street. They run the street. They run the residents. And you are under lock and key. You are not allowed to say anything about anybody. If you do, you will be killed.
Okay. The
streets are out of control.
Right. The other one, another tenet was to affect public policy. I don't know. It looks like a load of gobbledygook to me. And the last one was to plan and coordinate. I don't know. I mean, these are like academics trying to solve, street violence, street gangs.
Yes, that's a problem because it should be the streets that try to solve their problems, as in they make the suggestions, right?
Yeah.
They know if you've got 80% of your residents who are scared to death of a 20%, gang mentality, what's going on here, you don't have any hope. They will kill you, okay? They do not care who they kill. And it doesn't matter if they shoot someone in the street in front of the other residents, because the other residents are not going to tell the police any information. And that doesn't matter if that's a child that's been shot or an elderly female victim or whatever the case. Nobody's talking. That's your problem, that nobody's talking. Now, what do you think the solution should be? Now, what Chicago as an entity is telling me the solution should be is they're going to have to completely bust up these areas and ship people out, right? So you're going to have to ship them out of the city. The city is not doing them any favors whatsoever. They will always remain poor. They will always remain lacking in opportunity. Okay. So the city is telling me if you broke up this area, ship the residents out, put them in nice little, towns, sporadically move them out, they would have more opportunity, especially the children. They could actually grow up in a decent community. And I'm talking about farming communities because, outside of Chicago, if you move out far enough, there's lots of farmland. And so these kids can actually have a chance, and these people have a chance. And I'm talking, of course, about the 80% of innocent people that deserve to have that chance, right? And if you have the developers come in and completely revamp the city and gentrification, that is the only way I think you're going to solve this problem. Heavy-handed policing is not going to solve it, because you would have to have police permanently, like security, planted on these streets at all times in mass numbers. The city cannot afford that.
Right. Okay. Because Chicago has some of the highest property taxes, I believe, in the US.
Yes, that's correct.
So a lot of everyday folk, I would imagine, are thinking, I'm paying all this property tax, and yet what's happening to me? You know?
Well, you're already seeing a massive decrease in Chicago of the population. And I can attest to that because they're moving to my state too, right? And quite frankly, never mind, I won't even go into that. But they're coming out in droves, but you're not getting the bad areas. Those are not the people that are moving out. Okay, they can't afford to go. They can't afford to put gas in their car. They probably don't even have a car in a lot of those families. The ones that are moving are your high quality professional people that are seeking opportunities and a decent life somewhere else. Now, you turn that and you look out 20 years of the city, and what it's telling me is it's actually going to decrease a lot of that funding to really police those areas. So, you know, all cities have to run on budgets, or they're supposed to, and that's going to be a big problem for the police. You're going to see a decrease in the police again.
Okay.
I don't see that it changes any political, major political leadership either.
No. Okay. Right. Well, so
it doesn't look very hopeful for Chicago.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's the conclusion I'm drawing.
You know, and we report the truth. So I'm not going to sit here lying to people. You know, I've had people question me when I've done readings for them. They're like, you know, why didn't you tell me that I was going to marry that person? Well, because you're not. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. Why didn't you tell me during the reading that the crypto that I bought is going to make me a billionaire in a month's time? Well, because it's not, right? I'm not going to lie about it. I only report the truth. This is not looking good for Chicago. I don't see any way that they are going to resolve this issue. You can try to heal communities all you want to, but when you have a 20% gang problem in an area where 80% of your people are controlled, you're screwed, right? And there's nothing the police can do. Their hands are tied. They can only go in, deal with it at the moment, and that's it. You know, arrest them, charge them, put the baddies away. But then with the kids growing up in this situation, which is what I'm being told, it's only just reproducing more baddies because that's all they know, right? So you've got to really remove the children from growing up in this environment. And I feel like it's loaded with children in these areas. I mean, there's tons and tons of children. So, and I feel sorry for them. Nobody should have to walk to school in fear of their life that they may get hit by a stray bullet. I mean, that's pretty bad. So there you go. Any last questions for Chicago?
No, that is all we have for Chicago.
Okay, folks. Well, there you go. That is the entity of Chicago speaking to us. This may bring new people into the channel. For those of you that are like, how is she doing that? Just because it holds energy, it holds a consciousness. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a body. It doesn't have to have a soul. Okay, so I can channel anything that has energy. this isn't looking good. So I would love to hear your comments and questions below in the YouTube field. If you want to book a reading with me, go to psychiclizcross.com. If you want to support the YouTube channel, and we thank those that do, please go to Patreon /remote viewing and beyond. Thank you very much.